Hello. Yeah, exactly. Yep. You can go over there.
Thank you. Lithuanians, their rifle, right? 39-30.
Den här ska vägas.
Okej.
6-1.
Okay. Take it light.
I have 6.
It's in beginning, I don't know. Är du laddad?
Ja.
Ingen extra med någon visa.
Sorry.
Var du med? Idag är det rullband. Idag räcker det med tröskeln. Ja.
Ingen som skjuter sådär snabbt. Men det där så... Gud, jag ser så mycket fram emot han. Nu är det dags att bli bra.
Welcome back to Ostersund, where the opening weekend of the IBU World Cup continues with the 30th single mixed relay to be held at a World Cup and World Championships level. Here is a look at the course for today. Between 4 and 5 1.5 kilometre laps, with of course the athlete who finds himself on the last leg taking an extra lap around after their final shooting stage. 48 biathletes, 24 teams, and a whole lot of fun to kick-start the action on day 2 here in Ostersund. We're back below freezing after a warm day yesterday, -2 degrees Celsius. And we have had a slight bit of snow overnight. We'll take a look at the conditions, of course, around the tracks very shortly indeed. Alongside myself, Ellen Ellard, former British biathlete, and coach Scott Dixon. Scott, great to have you with us today. And the single mixed relay, what a way to kick-start the second day of the 25-26 World Cup season.
It's so exciting, and it's always fun to see some of those names who don't make the mixed relay or indeed the relay getting to feature. And more often now, the bigger names are becoming present even in this single mixed relay, and that just makes for a much more exciting event year on year.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll run you through the start list, of course, in just a moment's time. And there are plenty of the smaller nations, which, of course, as a former British biathlete yourself, I'm sure you love to see those smaller nations getting a shout out and an opportunity to shine.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's definitely one of those races where so much can change at such a drop of a hat, really. But also because of the shorter skiing distance, it opens the door for those who can hang on for those shorter paces and then make a change in the shooting range when it matters most.
Yeah, absolutely, and well, you can see there some of the names, and I'm sure you'll be able to pick up some of them who shine yesterday. One of the names who we expected to see today, who did indeed race yesterday, was Quentin Fillon-Maillet. He is not racing for France today. It's Fabien Claude who has stepped up in his place for the French team. He's paired with Camille Benet, the IBU Cup winner of last season. And, well, of course, we look at the home fans. Everywhere you look, yellow and blue. What do you expect from Sweden today, Scott?
Well, they always do well, particularly Sebastian Samuelsson at the start of the season, and I can expect him to be on absolutely the top of his game. And Halvarsson, there's a lot of pressure. There always is when you're in front of your home crowd, but they know how to handle it. They've been practicing. They simulate these kinds of pressure scenarios in training. So we'll see how they manage today when it comes to the live moment.
Yeah, absolutely. All eyes on Sebastian Samuelsson as individually in this discipline. He is the most successful male athlete. 4 victories, 9 podium finishes. Well, with the success that they had, this pairing of Sebastian Samuelsson and Ella Halvarsson, this time last year in Kontiolahti, taking the victory. You wouldn't be surprised if you see them on the podium again today. And, well, this pair, of course, as well, a really stable pair for Austria. Well, their last single mixed relay podium was in Antholz in the 23-24 season. Simon Eder also alongside Sebastian Samuelsson has an opportunity to claim his 10th career podium in this event. A new German duo that I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on. Lukas Fletcher and Marlene Fichtner. Kelly Hiedensalo, Venla Leptonen, the Finnish pair. And of course, last season, we did have a Finnish duo stand atop the podium. That was in the single mixed relay in Oberhof. It was a different duo that day. And a different duo to what we expected, of course, today. As we mentioned already, Quentin Fillon-Maillet ill. Fabien Claude steps up alongside Camille Benet. And there is the roar for Sebastian Samuelsson. The home pressure heaped on his shoulders. And a front row start as well for the Swiss duo of Sebastian Stolder and Amy Berserger. A single mixed relay win, of course, as well for Switzerland last season. Different duo again, that was in Pokljuka. Well, the atmosphere great. We're only 2 kilometres outside of the city centre here in Ostersund. It was great vibes yesterday, and I'm sure they'll be replicated today. All eyes on Sebastian Samuelsson, who will lead out for Sweden on this first lap. Ready! Poised and ready to go. We're underway on day 2 of the opening weekend of the IBU World Cup season here in Ostersund. And, well, all eyes, Scott, on Sebastian Samuelsson, but he always strikes as someone who relishes that pressure.
He does, and when it comes to the big moments, the really impactful ones, the Olympic Games final shoot, for example, that's when he seems to be able to hold his nerve the best. And we can see actually his standing statistics aren't that great after last season. So he's able to pull out the bag when the pressure's high, and some athletes are just like that.
Well, he did peak towards the end of the last season as well. It was a really up and down start, as we've already mentioned. Started on a high, along with Ella Halvarsson, and it was really one of the key moments for Ella Halvarsson, who we'll see on the second leg, who, as she was catapulted into household names across the biathlon world, took until the end of last season before we saw Sebastian Samuelsson stand on the podium. I want to make a quicker start today.
Yeah, it's interesting to see some athletes deciding, I'm going to take hold here, take control, and actually try and push the pace up at the front. And I would say that's a little bit ambitious, particularly when you do have to consider there's 4 laps for these men. It is separated by another leg in between. But if you go too fast on the first one, it can send your legs shaking by the time you come into the first stand shoot. So with caution would be my advice.
It is Elnars Birkenthals, who was leading the way in the colours of Latvia. And already this field well strung out.
This left-hander here is, of course, not that technical in the sense that it's not hard to get around, but it puts a lot of pressure on the legs, meaning that the recovery, particularly coming up the second steep section, the last steep section before the range, it just makes it ever more difficult and more surprising when you come onto the mat and have to contend with the shooting pressure.
And taking that corner incredibly wide was Reynolds Birkentals, which allowed the door to be opened for Sebastian Samuelsson, who will lead up this hill. Fabian Claude tucked in behind, Norway working their way around the outside. And it is Ståle Holmlaglide who is paired with Malin Chirkaida today. And of course they'll be expecting to finish on the podium. Haven't always had the best of success in the single mixed relay. But world silver medalist this season with Johannes Singersbo, or last season even, and Raniel Fenn Steinovic. So into the range they come for the first time.
It's amazing to see the different ski speeds as they come down the hill there, the advantage from drafting. And now, recovering, taking those deep breaths, and most importantly, looking at the wind flags.
Well, it was absolute chaos in the range yesterday, as we always expect the predictably unpredictable nature of this Ostersund range. Quick start for Ståle Holmlaglide in Norway. As for Latvia, Germany moving well. Norway, though, and Ståle Holmlaglide looking to make it 5 for 5, and he will be away first, the total score winner from last season.
Absolutely phenomenal shooting. Fracture, he's gone clear. Sebastian's clear. Stalder's clear. It's quite phenomenal accuracy, and of course, everybody calibrated to the wind of yesterday, but great shooting all round.
Well, it does just look a touch calmer than it was yesterday. As we watch the final athletes try and avoid the penalty loop. Of course, you will have 3 extra rounds for each shooting stage, but you want to desperately avoid the loop, and well, all of them have done. There's a shorter penalty loop, just 60 metres on this single mixed relay. As we head back to the front of the field, and Ståle Holmlaglide, who is leading the way. Fabian Claude tucked in behind. Simon Eder well up there as well.
And this hill is deceptively steep. You can't really see it with this camera lens when it's foreshortened, but just as they come up to the left here, our right, it gets incredibly steep. You can see Lagride there making it look so easy. Getting the weight forward onto the ball of his foot, driving his body weight down through the poles. It's beautiful technique.
He's the man who comes into this season with a target on his back, the total score winner from last season. But of course, as well, a different role for him, you feel, Scott, with the departure of the Burr brothers and this new era of Norwegian biathletes coming through, potentially more of a mentoring role for the likes of Isak Frey and Martin Oldal.
Yeah, it's a shock to the system when 2 of the very best leave, and then in come so many incredible athletes like Frey, and you have Oldal and Botten, and so many just competing for those very, very few and hard sought after spots. And Kalkenberg, youngster coming up from the junior level. It's not a good nation to be in if you want spots on World Cups. This corner, sorry Alan. Yeah, this corner here is such a technical one where it's very, very tight. But if you are at the back of a large group, you almost get Constantina back ever so slightly, meaning that you lose pace coming around down the hill. And you can see that here. Watch those who are starting behind. Watch how they get into the slipstream of the athlete in front of them. Lagride will have one of the fastest set of skis there, but tucked in behind him are those who are just catching up and easily staying down in the tuck for those extra 2 or 3 seconds.
Now here is where it starts to get interesting as well, because we see the second leg athletes lining up ready to go, and it will be straight after they exit the range where they hand over.
The wind flags are just trickling, having a little dance left and right, but nothing too substantial, nothing that's going to phase any of these athletes or even coerce them into making any changes. Not for stand.
Start from Switzerland and Sebastian Stalder. Misses for Germany, Estonia, now a miss for Stella Humlegreid and Norway. France moving well, so are Sweden. Austria, an opportunity to go 5 for 5. France and Sweden get there first, and it will be, well, a tumble from Fabien Claude. We'll see if we can get another angle on that to see who came out of the range first, but he lost his footing, and it is France who will hand over just behind Sweden, with Ella Halvorsen taking the lead out of Exchange 1.
Yeah, what an interesting scenario there. The excitement, I think, getting to Claude, and he just skipped off the mat a little bit too eagerly, got caught in some snow, and only a few seconds lost. But at the end of the day, in this race, seconds are absolutely pivotal.
Wesley handing over, and maybe just a touch further down the field than they would have liked. Here's a look at the athletes streaming into shooting 1. Good rhythm, good pace from Fabien Claude, and then just losing his footing, opening the door for Sebastian Samuelsson to cut around the inside, and Ella Halvorsen gets away just ahead of Camille Benet.
The highest point of the course here now, where they have to carry that speed over the top, and this plateau is very challenging. You can see Halvorsen taking advantage of her lead. She's not holding up at all, and now they have to sustain that pace over the top.
Well, she had an excellent season last time round, and she's not hanging around here, as you rightly say, Scott. Flying around her first lap, it was just a matter of seconds, if that, between her and Camille Benet when she took the baton off Sebastian Samuelsson. And you can see as we look overhead the gap that she's already thrown down. Flying is Ella Halvorsen.
Yeah, she made a very quick journey from the IBU Cup 2023-24 season, where she was mostly, and then managing to get herself onto the World Cup, and doing so well there that she was instantly established. So that quick ski speed, coupled with incredible accuracy in the shooting range, up in the 90% area.
Less than a second there was between Sweden and France when they left the range. It's now 6.8 seconds that Ella Halvorsen leads over Malin Kjærgaard of Norway.
And all the way back down to 10th place, just 23 seconds in it. And when you think about that in context, it takes something like 9 to 10 seconds to load and fire a spare round. So it is only the difference of just 2 spare rounds at this early stage.
Which a number of the teams are a little bit further down than they would have liked. You look at Italy, Czechia will take some encouragement from. They're still within 50 seconds of the leader Halvorsen.
Marlene Fichtner, an exceptional shot, 98% hit rate. That's in prone. Benet with 92%. The accuracy here is going to be on display now in one of the high-pressure fast shoots.
Halvorsen going incredibly well, 4 for 4. Can she make it 5? And she does, and she's away in the lead, much to the delight of the home fans, who will join her. France, Camille Benet. Norway having to reach for the extra round. Germany, Switzerland all following out. Slovenia, Estonia, Poland. Norway stuck, and now Malin Kjærgaard will get away.
Incredible accuracy. So many nations going 5 for 5 without the use of a single spare. And really, I think that having calibrated to those windy conditions, these athletes are now so accustomed to the challenge of shooting in the wind that when it's absent, it just goes down so easily. And now you can see the second wave of those coming into the range and trying to get the targets down. Ockenthaler there loading a spare, having a little bit of trouble. that despite loads and loads of practice, it does happen where the flustered intensity of the moment, you want to get that spare round in with ease, and it's never as easy as it feels. But now in 12th place, Italy coming out 57 seconds off the lead.
Well, they would have expected more after a great day yesterday. And as things stand, it's Sweden who are making amends for just falling short themselves. There's the miss from Malin-Tjerkade. So maintaining 7+ second advantage. Coming out of shooting 3 is Ella Halvorsen.
And I love this bird's eye view here where you can see the gap between the leaders and those in behind. Halvorsen will be able to see that herself as she comes around this 180-degree turn at the top of the field. Of course, Sebastian Samuelsson, he'll be watching on the big screen and keeping track as he's getting warmed up and mentally prepared for his start, which will be in just a couple of minutes.
It won't be long until he's back out on the course, and this is always an interesting point where they go back along the athletes who are just trailing slightly behind them, and there is a group who's rallying now behind Ella Halvorsen, but she will be very confident in her advantage now. 14.8 seconds over Amy Beserga.
Beserga, she and Ada are such a great team. Excuse me, Beserga and Stalder are such a great team, as we know from their past success. Such a shame they wouldn't be able to show off this ability and this niche at the Olympics, but such a great event nevertheless.
Well, it seems Switzerland picking up where they left off, a different duo today, but of course everyone after that success in Pokluka will want to get their hands on the medals, as you see Sebastian Samuelsson being prepared to come out. Now, what kind of advantage will Ella Halvorsen be able to hand over with?
Well, it's always difficult when coming into the range with this much of a lead. We've seen it before from many of the best in the world on this range, in this environment, and wearing the Swedish suit, where the pressure did get to them.
Well, we saw plenty of that yesterday. Has it settled the nerves going in to day 2?
Beautiful first shot, just low left, and the second one's a miss, high right.
So into the extra rounds goes Ella Halvorsen. She will have time. Takes her time, steadies herself, and now she's away. Beserga, though, absolutely flying. A miss, though, just on the last. Norway climbing back up with Malin-Tjerkade. She'll hand over in second. France now away, but Switzerland will just get there first.
Sebastian Samuelsson now with a lead, and he'll be looking behind and hoping it's not Lagride, but will be disappointed to find out that it is.
And it isn't the advantage that they would have wanted to hand over with, but it is still advantage, just inside 6 seconds. And, well, we know as much as Sebastian Samuelsson relishes the pressure, relishes competing on home snow, the one thing he loves the most is competing against Norwegian Scott. And, well, this last leg for the men, this could deliver and develop into a good battle.
Oh, absolutely it can, yeah. And it's impossible to say. Of course, you can see there's those going around the penalty loop now. It can happen to absolutely anybody, and it's the nerves are much more powerful than a very strong wind. It's incredible what the mind can do in biathlon. It can make something as trivial as just loading a spare round into the chamber seem very, very difficult with shaking or trembling hands.
Well, we saw yesterday the challenges that, particularly in the men's relay, those athletes towards the end of the race had with steadying their barrels.
Yeah, incredible winds, and you can see the camera shaking, and it's something that's not totally unfamiliar here. We saw that at the 2019 World Championships, where the wind had an immense effect on the shooting in many of the races. It went calm one day to crazy the next. Look at this pace now, just charging up the hill. It's almost as if it's a sprint.
Gritted teeth of Sturla Holmler desperate to close the gap, but it's not closing. It's the opposite. It's opening. It's almost doubled the advantage that Sebastian Samuelsson's had. And well, when you looked at the rate he was coming up this climb, Scott, it was evident that he was moving with some speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fabien Claude, I actually thought looked incredibly relaxed there in behind Legride, and that always has good connotations. If an athlete is able to stay calm out there when it's the battle, or the heat of the battle on the skis, then it just implies that their transition from fighting on the skis to the calm of shooting will come a little bit easier.
And there will be calm that descends around the range as Sebastian Samuelsson will pull up and prepare for his final prone shoot.
He'll have received all the information he needs about his grouping already. So now, as he settles down on the map, he will just need to review the wind flags. Have they changed? If they have, adjustments. But otherwise, it will all stay the same. So interesting to see the way Legride has evolved, his taking the rifle off the back.
Oh, excellent cadence from Sebastian Samuelsson, who's 5 for 5. Perfect shooting. Joined though by Sturla Holmler. Can France match it? Fabien Claude clean as well.
Wow, what a display. And now Fracture, a little bit of pressure for the German, who's settling down on the mat and getting the targets down thus far. Beautiful for Germany, beautiful for Ada of Austria as well. 5 out of 5.
Big challenges though for Switzerland. Amy Verserga have put them in such a good position at exchange number 2. Work to do for Sebastian Stoll there if he's to hand over in the same position, and of course has Simon Ada in front of him, who's still at 42 years old, is well looking as fresh as ever.
And this really is Simon Ada's forte. He loves shooting quickly, but it's interesting to see how his fast shooting has evolved over the years. It's almost like he was the revolutionary of shooting quickly, and now with the likes of Oldal just really setting the tone, the entire field has shifted. And even now, watch how Legride takes his rifle off when he comes in to shoot stand. He's evolving to the new style, the new speedy way of rifle removal and getting to that first shot. Beautiful accuracy there, just all in the same spot, just right of the 10 ring.
Coming out of shooting 5, Sturla Holmler halving the time advantage that Sebastian Samuelsson had. So he needs to do his talking back on the skis now, Samuelsson.
4.7 seconds, it's not much. It's one of those distances where Legride will be desperately trying to close down the gap, but really focusing still on the fact that he has another stand shoot to do. Over pushing it now, which is on their last lap, is still a huge risk.
Well, this is one of the really interesting things about the single mixed relays. The gap opens once again in favour of Sebastian Samuelsson and the Swedes. This is the final lap for the men, but they still have to shoot standing before they hand over, and getting that balance right of pushing and giving everything you have on the skis with making sure you're in the best position to shoot accurately and lower your heart rate when you come into the range. It really is such a mental battle and skill here.
Well, these biathletes are so well trained that this recovery now, coming into the shooting range, they'll know how much they can handle, because their bodies, their heart rate will just go down and down and down with every second that they're not actively pushing with their arms or their legs. So they can justify a little bit more pushing, but really they have to know so well their own bodies and capacity to determine what is too much. And the adrenaline of the moment can sometimes see them get carried away.
So here we go, the final shooting stage for the male athletes before they hand over. 3 laps to come for the women, 2 shooting stages, and then we will have our winner. Very little to separate Sweden and Norway.
Just watch the speed that Lagride will take his rifle off now. Over the left shoulder, right hand onto the pistol grip. Loading the magazine with his left hand.
And he's flying, Sebastian Samuelsson, and he's perfect. 10 out of 10, and they love it. An error from Sturla Holmgren, who has to go into the extra rounds, and it will just grow the advantage that Sweden will hand over with. Now he's away and into exchange. We'll keep our eyes on the time here.
Oh, and 2 misses there from Fabian Claude. That's going to hurt a lot, and Fracture's going to know that this really is an opportunity for him to come through.
And he will come through, and Germany will move into 3rd. And it will be a penalty loop for France. Disaster. After pushing around the final lap, the accuracy falling from France, and they will have to wait, and they'll tumble down the order here, and there will be so much work for Camille Benet to do.
Oh, wow, what a shame, and he's going to be hurting even more so, having taken the time to load those spare rounds. Again, that's like 27 seconds plus a penalty loop added on.
And back on the skis is Amy Berserger.
Such clean, slick shooting there from Sebastian Samuelsson. Just 1-2 gasps of air in between each shot, something that he doesn't deviate from often. Just quick shooting, but really focusing on his rhythm.
And still only 1 extra round used by the Swedish team. That was matched by France before this, well, challenging performance, to say the least, from Fabien Claude. But they've struggled at times, France. I know it's only day 2, but there have been, of course, last season, so many moments where their shooting was just exceptional. It's something that they've spoken about, particularly the 2 shooting coaches, that was the key improvement that they wanted to make ahead of the Olympic Games. There is, of course, still plenty of time, but some maybe signs that there is still a little bit more work to do for France.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky situations where at this point in the season, the season's begun, the work really should have been done in terms of the shooting psychology, the shooting process. And now the biathletes are putting into practice what they've been learning over the summer, or reinforcing over the summer, because of course the routine should come from years before, or years in the making. So at this point now, it should be reinforcing good habits as opposed to reinventing the wheel.
Molly Fittner, 33.8 seconds behind the time of Ella Halvorsen at 10.1 kilometres. Here's Lisa Hauser. Can she force Austria back onto the podium for the first time since Antholz in the 23-24 season? She will have, of course, to battle with Amy Berserger, Camille Benet behind, and of course try and push herself into that 3rd place ahead of Fichtner.
And it seems like it's come round so fast. This very quick loop and very quick skiing from Halvorsen. She has a lot of pressure, but handled it perfectly on the first time of asking.
12.7 second advantage coming into the range. And Chigada will pull up alongside her.
It's not a good start for the Swede. A miss on shot number 1. The following 3 go down. And so does the last. It's a good recovery from a bad start, but it does open the opportunity for Tjurkaida.
Crucially though, a miss from Tjurkaida. Now that's 2. Does this open the door for Germany? Sweden away. Norway stuck.
Fichtner, such an exceptional shooter. That really is her forte.
And a miss now for Fichtner. There's Malin Tjurkaida's away. Can Lisa Hauser make a go of it? No, she misses on the first. And now Germany away.
Benet has an opportunity with a lot of slow shooting, a lot of misses as the pressure mounts. But Benet, she comes with a miss as well. Hauser gets her 5th shot. Now Poland has an opportunity, and it goes 5 for 5. So lovely shooting from Poland there, as Hauser comes out 4th place, 50 seconds off the lead.
Yeah, big climb up the order for Jakiela of Poland. And their shooting has been incredibly accurate today, only 2 extra rounds used.
Yeah, same as the Swedes, only 2 for them as well. It's certainly, you know, their home territory. They've evolved now their routine to stay in Ostersund more for their training camps as opposed to the routine they used to do in the lead up to the 2018 Olympics. And that means there's less travel days, less chance of getting sick in airports, and they get to stay home with family and familiarity. But it also means they get to train on this exact venue over and over again. They know it inside and out.
So the gap, 24.9 seconds. That's the lead that Ella Halvorsen has. This is her penultimate lap. 1 more shooting stage to go, and then a final lap.
So much pressure now. She's got this beautiful lead that seems to be untouchable, and that's one of the scenarios that I find most fascinating in biathlon, is it changes the dynamic. Ella Halvorsen will know it's now her race to lose in front of her home crowd, and that's the kind of thought that she will be fighting hard to keep from playing on repeat in her mind.
Well, this is her 31st World Cup start. And as we go back to Malin Tjurkaida, who is desperately trying to close the gap, but it won't be closing. 26.7 seconds, the advantage that Ella Halvorsen has growing.
Fichtner, she's not known for her rapid ski speed. Of course, it is getting faster, but she has been on the IBU Cup and managing to really gain most of her best results from having shot incredibly well and incredibly well under pressure.
And when you look back at the distance for the chase pack and the chase duo behind her of Benet and Hauser, she can't afford to make any mistakes ahead of the final lap. Malin Fichtner.
This is the big moment for Halvorsen, where all that pressure will mount, but all that training should come together. She makes a minor adjustment to her sight or her blinder.
So 1 miss for Halvorsen. Reloads quickly.
Fast shooting.
Wide just again.
And now she can hear the skis tapping on the mat next to her as her closest rival is coming for that top spot.
But she does it. And she will have enough time. It will be a win for Sweden. Quick recovery from Malin Tjurkaida on those last 3 shots, and she's back to the second. And she'll be away.
brilliant shooting there. Great recovery from the Norwegian, and now Fichtner, she's going to be battling to maintain her spot with Benet right behind her. They've been competing against each other on the IBU Cup and European Championships last season, now on the World Cup together.
And there's the miss for France, and it is crucial because 5 for 5 and away is Marlene Fichtner. And surely that will be the bronze medal for Germany. Well, she'll be quick in pursuit, but really recovering herself very well. Keep your eyes on the time here. There won't be much between them. Can she close the gap? Oh, just over 4 seconds.
Oh, it's painful. I think that gap is absolutely closable. You can expect Benet to be right on her heels, and probably very quickly. It's just a case of who's going to come down and claim it on the sprint finish, I think.
Well, it was such a quick recovery. And it was a composed recovery, on the other hand, for Ella Halvorsen, who takes a look over the shoulder. 14.8 seconds was the difference when they left shooting 8, the final shoot. And now it's just one more lap, and of course just 1.5 kilometres. It's not far, these laps, incredibly short as coming up the climb. Malin Chikaida.
This is where the biathletes feel it the most if they didn't pace themselves right. If they took it too fast on laps 1, 2 and 3, and 4 in the case of these final leg racers, then this is where the legs will start to really, really burn.
And the gap is closing, and it's closing incredibly quickly. Camille Benet now onto the heels of Marlene Fichtner.
Oh, and what a terrifying feeling when you hear the loudness of the poles getting ever more loud as the skier behind you is coming for your spot. Fichtner now responding by saying, no, I don't want you to come past, making it really challenging for Benet to get around the side. It's a tactical race from here.
And will we have a sprint finish? Halvorsen around the corner. It won't be a sprint for the gold medal because that has long been sewn up by Sweden.
Interesting there, Fichtner actually allowing Benet of France to go past, get around, so now the German in the slipstream of the French athlete.
Silver also secure with Malin Chikaida and Norway. And the celebrations have become for Ella Halvorsen, back where her incredible season started last season, on top of the podium in the single mixed relay, winning in Kontiolahti. Sweden have done it again, but all eyes on the sprint finish. Day 2, and they get their delight in Ostersund. What a way to do it. Dominant throughout. Sebastian Samuelsson and Ella Halvorsen. What a duo these two have become. And Germany back into the lead and fighting hard. Was it a spurt of energy all too early for Camille Benet? Across the line in second, Norway. Malin Chikaida and Stella Holmlegreid couldn't compete today with Sweden.
Side by side.
And what a battle this has been throughout the race. Germany against France, side by side, and Camille Benet will get there.
Oh,
and
Fichtner
France
just
have done
lost
it. She just didn't have it in the final straight. She shakes her head.
That little slip on her right ski as she came onto the final 100 metres was enough for her to just lose her momentum. What a shame for Fichtner, but brilliantly fought for Benet, who managed to claim back all those seconds post shoot number 8.
Well, they had to go around the penalty loop as well, and well, when you talk about a recovery, France and Camille Benet picking up after Fabienne Claude handed over post penalty loop to find their way back up and into the medal positions. It's something quite spectacular and a brilliant battle all the way to the line. And of course, as well, Scott, our first sprint finish of the season.
Yeah, and isn't that just, foreshadowing what's to come on this Olympic season? All the drama, all those sprint finishes, and all those intense pressure moments, which are just so exciting to see how these absolute masters of their craft, how they handle it.
And of course, no sprint finish for the top 2 positions. That well sewn up, Sweden and Norway. Now, there was a look of disappointment yesterday on Sebastian Samuelsson's face when he stepped up to the podium, taking the minor positions behind Norway in the men's relay, and a cry from Norwegian fans from the crowd. And of course we know how he loves to stoke the fire in the rivalry between the two nations. This time round it is Sweden and Sebastian Samuelsson who are back on top. Italy across the line in 11th, challenging day out on the range. 11 extra rounds used, avoided the penalty loop though. They'll have their sights set on glory later on this afternoon though, in the mixed relay. And the battles all the way down the order. Ukraine coming over the line ahead of Czechia and Latvia.
Seven teams went around the penalty loop today, and that's of the 24 that have finished so far, so that's 8 actually now of the 24 who have crossed the line, have been around the loop.
Greenland across the line in 16th. Really good climb up the order for the sibling duo, Sondra Slettermark and Astrid Jukelet Slettermark. And of course we see pop up, of course, at the World Championships and around the World Cup Tour, either in the individual events or combining as a duo. And they're pushed towards the line. And it will be Belgium who get there ahead of Moldova and Slovakia.
Yeah, these minor spots, at least by the viewer perception, are actually not minor at all for these athletes who 22nd might mean a lot, or indeed 15th might mean a lot, and could result in a personal best for some of these nations. So that is not what I would say for Canada. Very capable of being right up there in the top 10, certainly, on a good day. So they'll be disappointed with their result.
Someone who won't be, and a whole nation backing her here on home snow. Ella Halvarsson anchoring Sweden to victory in Ostersund. Well, these are the moments that come the end of your career, Scott. You remember coming home in first place, leading your team over the line on home snow. Those are always up there with the best of the memories. And of course, what a way to kick-start an Olympic season for Ella Halvarsson.
Yeah, the Swedish team, an ever more challenging team to make. And so that Olympic selection is going to be tricky. But the same can be said for many of these top nations where there's so many talented athletes coming up from the IBU Cup over the years, from the Norwegian side, the French, the Germans. And yeah, the selection committees are going to have their work cut out to get the right people to the Milan Cortina Olympic Games.
Alicia Kaido, she'll have high hopes for those Olympic Games, taking the bronze in the mass start in Lenza Hyder as her maiden World Championships podium. And what about all this was? Well, she knew, didn't she, Marlene Fichtner, that it just wasn't meant to be. And the joy on last season's IBU Cup winner Camille Benet's face, quite something there.
That celebration of absolute relief, and the same from Fabien Claude there. He'll be relieved because a penalty loop in this kind of race at this kind of level for France really is painful. So something of a redemption there from Camille Benet.
And so those are the results. Sweden taking top spot on home snow, ahead of Norway, finishing just inside 20 seconds behind the leader. And France a battle, and you can see just how close it was with Germany after that final shooting stage.
It was a very good day for Poland. They managed to, I think, pull out quite an exceptional result today, most of which really is down to their fantastic shooting.
Yeah, really good performance 7th place finish for Wojciech Skolusa and Joanna Jakiela. Have had success in the past in the mixed relay, securing 1 podium, but edging closer to that top 5 finish. We did see some really good shooting performances yesterday as well from the Polish teams. Made a good start to the season so far, of course, before we head into the individual events next week.
It's a nice, gentler start to the season, starting with the relays as opposed to starting with, let's say, an individual where the legs really take a beating.
Although that is just around the corner. And unlike last season, of course, in Kontiolahti, the short individual used on the opening weekend, we are straight in on Tuesday into the women's 15-kilometre individual, followed by the men's 20-kilometre on Wednesday. They have a day off on the Thursday before back into the sprint action pursuits at the weekend. But like you say, Scott, it is a really good place to start. It just sets the tone. You come in with a smile on your face, the nerves may be eased, then going into those individual events, those solo events next week. Just takes a bit of the pressure off, if of course you and your team have performed well, that is.
The big if, the pivotal if. And in biathlon, it's so unpredictable. Those hypothetical scenarios. So many of these teams will have been thinking, today in this race, we could potentially break the top 10, and then at the end found themselves down in the late 15s, 20s. And such is the way of biathlon. Such is the way of the psychology of shooting and the impact that has on the results.
So, of course, the next competition will follow very shortly to add to the mixed relay World Cup score. And it is Sweden who lead the way, Norway in second, and France, well, continuing their good form of finishing on podiums. It was 66 podiums that France ended up on last season, smashing their previous record of 52. And they'll be, well, of course, with one fewer World Cup venue this season, one fewer World Cup stop, they'll be eyeing up getting as close to that number as possible.
It's interesting to see the evolution of biathlon year on year. There's subtle changes, most of which you notice in the shooting. The technique is very hard to spot unless you look over like 10 years ago, what were people skiing like? And you see the difference and you think, wow, because it's so subtle, you don't notice them. But in the shooting range, I'm just surprised that not everybody's not taking their rifle off and stand like Uldal. He's so quick. And only Lagride so far has emulated that technique. And that's quite a surprising fact.
Here's a look at the Women's Nations Cup score after 2 competitions. France leading the way, Sweden in second, Italy in third.
Norway not on to the best of starts, down in 8th. And the same can be said for Germany, who certainly expect to be up there with their fantastic shooting. But yesterday, it's almost like shooting in the wind like that can be something of a lottery. We saw Christensen really got it unlucky in the prone shooting.
And a very different picture in the Men's Nation Cup score. Norway on top, France and Sweden in second and third. Germany also having better of a time on the men's side of things. They're up in fourth, Italy in fifth. And well, when you look at the Italian team, they're one of the teams, I think, Scott, when we look ahead to the race later on this afternoon, the mixed relay, the Italian team is one of them that really does stand out as a team that can perform well this season.
Yeah, and I think with the pressure that's on the Italians to get those results, given the home Olympics, I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how those big names manage to fare with that pressure. But then also the team as a whole, how are they united? It's difficult to say because so many of the Lucas Hoffers and different names going to different races. It doesn't seem like the same united kind of team that you have with the, let's say, Swedes who all go together to the Swedish opening. And I think that's worth dwelling on somewhat, because team events and team cohesion is really important for those big moments.
Ella, congratulations. Leading from the start until the finish, winning at home stadium in front of your crowd. Could it be any better today?
No, it really couldn't. It was so amazing from start to finish, and when Seb first did the first handover to me, he said, "Have fun," and I really did all the way.
Coming to the last standing, still having the Norway just behind you, were you nervous? Like, what were your thoughts about, or you were just trying to do your own race and focus on yourself?
A little bit of both. When I got into the last shooting, I felt quite confident, but still, while I stood there on to the target, I was so shaky, and I knew it. Like, I had a lead, but if I miss, it's not so sure. So it was a tough one, but I'm so happy that we made it.
You really made it. Enjoy now your win. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Well, Scott, it's great to hear from Ella Halvorsen. Exactly a year to the day since she and Sebastian Samuelsson won the single mixed relay in Kontiolahti last year. And of course, what a season then followed for her. Silver world medalist at Lenzerheide in the individual, and it looks like that trajectory is just going to continue for her.
Yeah, this is such a great way to start the season, especially when you've got so many massive names in the Swedish team. The female team is so strong, and we've got some big names returning as well. I think we're going to see a really, well, it's going to be incredibly tough for the selection committee from Sweden to decide which of their amazing talents is going to go to the Olympics.
will be awarded by Mr. IBU board member, accompanied by Rosie Hoffler, Deputy Mayor of Ostersund. In third place, Team France.
Well, they didn't have it their own way, and they really had to fight for that bronze medal. The French duo, Fabien Claude and Camille Benet, performing well, recovering well, and really good signs, you have to say, in terms of the mentality there, Scott, with Camille Benet, the IBU Cup winner last season. This is just her 4th World Cup start, and she showed the mentality that you need to thrive on the World Cup.
Absolutely, and they've got the support. You can hear the crowd chanting their support. The French audience is becoming louder and more enthusiastic with each passing year, the sport having grown so much in France since the success of Fricade and others. But it's so cool to see these names come up from the IBU Cup on what is already an incredibly powerful nation. The French have such depth. And as soon as one drops out, someone else fills the boots.
And the duo of Stella Holmlagaard and Malin Chikaida. Of course, as with Ella Halvorsen, an excellent year last time for Malin Chikaida. Bronze in the mass start. In Lenza Hyder. She'll be hoping for more of the same this time round.
It's always a novelty for the Norwegians to stand atop the podium in Sweden, and the reverse also being true. Swedes are the top of the podium in Norway. That rivalry is always exciting, and some anecdotes say that that's where biathlon came from, is that rivalry between Sweden and Norway.
And it is Norway who have to settle for second today. One year since they stood atop the podium in Kontiolahti in the opening weekend of the 24-25 season. 25-26 dawns, and it's no change. Sebastian Samuelsson and Ella Halvorsen top the podium in Ostersund, and that's how much it means to Sebastian Samuelsson.
He had such good races in the Swedish Premier. He came out on day one on the Swedish selection races, effectively. Not for him, though. He was pre-selected, but he came out there 10 out of 10 and performed in such a way that it had people speculating that that would have been quite easily or comfortably a World Cup win. And now the Swedes fighting back in the audience, saying, no, we're louder than the French presence.
And it is a momentous day as well for Sebastian Samuelsson. 5 now victories in this discipline, 10 podium finishes. He is the most successful male athlete in the history of this discipline. On the 30th time that this race has been held at World Cup and World Championship level. Sweden on top once again. Norway settled for second, and France a hard-fought third. But the action, it isn't over for today. We will be back at 4:40 Central European time, just before then, for the start of the mixed relay, which will conclude the action on day 2 here in Ostersund. So do join us 4:40 Central European time for the start of the mixed relay.